It's hard to imagine that children are suffering in a way that not even our prisoners in America seem to be suffering. It makes you wonder what makes this country so great when the people who are coming here to experience it are being treated like modern day slaves. Let's talk about where these 1,475 kids have gone missing, and more importantly, what our government is doing to resolve this issue.
Yo, Pierre, you wanna come out here?
Let's stop for a second and imagine what would happen if 1,475 Americans went missing. Black, white, Mexican, Asian, the whole demographic. We as a country would go ballistic. Furthermore, we would do everything in our power to make sure that these people, these children, are recovered. So why is it that our government is acting so casual when it comes to trying to describe what happened to these kids?
Hey, look!
During a Senate hearing, it was disclosed to the public that 1,475 kids who were given away by our government to sponsors have gone missing. 1,475. Don't get tired of me saying that number, because I'm not going to stop. It's mind-numbing to believe that we could allow such a thing to happen. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand the theatrics and the whole belief that if they want to get into our country, they should do it legally. But it is very clear that you need to have in order for you to cross that grand line. And not everyone's walking around with $5,000 to help expedite their process. The ORR, which is the Office of Refugee Replacement, that's a weird, that doesn't come off the tongue at all. Wow. But this is governed by the Homeland Security Office, and they're in charge of dealing with these children. The children who are released, if they're not released to family members, they are released to sponsors. Because not only can these children be given up to just about anyone who can pass a background check given by McDonald's or Uber, the fact of the matter is these sponsors are not being held responsible for maintaining constant connection in a 6-month upkeep with the U.S. government, meaning 1,475 kids who were given to complete strangers have not been sought out by the government. A judge by the name of Jack H. Wiley, and I quote, said, "They get it. It's not the most efficient, but it can be done." When you start to defame, devalue, and dehumanize a certain group of people, it becomes easier to let your grip on social norms go when dealing with these people. People who aim to dehumanize and generalize a group of people based on the actions of just one, they're probably just low-key racist and they want an excuse to spew hate. Exhibit A.
Very fine people on both sides.
Part of learning how to fight is figuring out who you're fighting. And if you want to pick someone out of the crowd, let's aim for the dude at the top. Let's take a look at Juan Sanchez, the owner, president of Southwest Keys program.
Hey, listen!
Now, what is Southwest Keys program? Well, this is a non-profit organization that is put in charge by Homeland Security, ORR's big brother, to help deal with the illegal immigrant youth coming into our country. And this was not a cheap contract, as Southwest Keys program makes a lot of money. In fact, too much damn money for a non-profit organization to really be able to keep up with. They've been put in charge of over 300,000 kids since 2014, and they have no regulatory system that kind of dictates how things are handled, because this is unheard of. We are creating prisons for children. When we hear stories about complaints of abuse, mishandling, malpractice, nowhere for the children to go use the bathroom in private, no place for the children to properly sleep, or that they're sleeping in dog cages, there's no place we can go to complain. These facilities are not being upkept in the right way. These are facilities that have been transformed into prisons that used to be abandoned Walmarts, abandoned Targets, Kmarts. And the question then becomes, what is going on behind these closed doors? Because now they've taken the ability for us to examine ORR's process of handling and funneling these children and giving it to a private company that we don't have control over, but somehow, some way, the way that they are funded is through our own taxpayer dollars. So let me get this straight. If you're a right conservative individual who doesn't want illegal immigrants coming into our country taking our funds, our lands, and our jobs, they have now successfully found a way to close down multiple stores that you could have been working at. They're using funds that you pay for, your taxpayer dollars, such as our electricity, water, clothing, food, and being used to supply these illegal immigrants. And then also, not to top it off, they've misplaced them. And it wasn't like the kids did it on their own. This was done by your government, by your fear, by your inability to care about anything else other than the color of these kids' skin. Because we know for a fact that President Trump believes our elected officials cannot even look at these kids. Brownsville, Texas, there's an abandoned Walmart where 436 kids are being kept. Of the 436 kids within the building, no one can identify any of the children. Even if you're a state senator. Oregon State Senator Jeff Merkel, he traveled all the way down from Oregon to check out the facility, and it wasn't like he just showed up out of nowhere. He was invited. He planned this, and he actually made this an event. He went on Facebook Live when he got there because he was denied access, and when he asked to speak to the supervisor, he was directed to contact an 800 number and then promptly removed by police officials. That's a state senator. He is an elected official. If he is being sent on a mission by his constituents, doesn't he have the right to examine a place where our money, our resources are being used? If he doesn't have the rights to see this place, then who does? Moreover, why can't we see what's going on to these kids? And this part is gonna suck.
And here we go.
What do you value? People who hate to see these kids crossing into our country looking for help, they're mad because they don't have anything else. They don't have no one else to blame but themselves for their position. These kids will come here and make a better life for themselves than you would have ever been able to do, and you were born here. That is what you're angry about. You're angry that they have something you don't. And the thing that they have isn't money, it isn't power, it's a fucking drive to survive. You've been given everything, so therefore you find value in nothing. While they have nothing, and any drop of life they can find, they value it. And it's been taken from them. 1,475 kids are missing. And I'm here to tell you they're not missing, they've been sold. Because when you look at numbers and you look at trajectories, you start to pay attention to the big picture, which is 1 in 6 American kids between the ages of 2 and 18 experience trafficking. You start to realize that 100,000 kids in 2017 were connected to a sex trafficking ring in America. You start to realize that it's still legal in some states to marry children. You start to realize that America doesn't really care about its future. It just cares about its right now. That's where this lack of judgment comes from. It has to do with everything. Because upon further examination, you realize the top 3 ways that children get trafficked. Number 3, religious beliefs and followings. 2, extended family members. And the number 1 way that these kids seem to find their way into the sex trafficking world, the underbelly, the scum of the earth, is through foster care. Foster care is the number 1 contributor to trafficking in America. 100,000 kids in 2017 were victims of trafficking. And just about 80% of those kids have not been found. We are being compared to places like Amsterdam and Thailand when it comes to the severity of trafficking within our nation. 1,475 kids are not missing in America. They have been sold into a world they do not deserve to be in. And it was our government that helped do it. It's not really hard for me to believe that this is the country we've become when we let pedophiles run for public office, where we can shoot a 13-year-old playing in a park in under 2 seconds, in a country where we send more people to jail than any other country in the world, where we punish people for the First Amendment, where we acknowledge people who abuse the Second Amendment. Welcome to a place where you can get a person to sell out his own race for a buck. This is America. We lost 1,475 kids. And in this America, we're okay with that. We're complacent with that. I'm not okay with that. I'm not